To be able to officially upgrade to Windows 11, you will need a TPM 2.0 chip on board, secure boot enabled, and either an Intel 8th Gen or an AMD Zen Plus processor or higher. About 10 years old already have these requirements. The big problem here really is the processor requirements, because this means that your PC needs to be from roughly around 2017 or newer in order to run Windows 11 officially. Now, let's split this point into two different categories. Those that are eligible for Windows 11 and those that are ineligible for Windows 11. Now, those who meet the requirements to upgrade to Windows 11, I personally feel like there's little to no reason not to upgrade. As an early adopter of Windows 11,
using its beta release, even before there was a search bar in the start menu, I would personally say, especially nowadays, Windows 11 is such a solid operating system. Like, to those running Windows 10, I know Windows 11 is not perfect in this regard, but it is still so much better. I just don't understand how you can go back to dealing with this. Or this. Yeah, that was bad time. And the best part, this upgrade is completely free. Okay, but there's bloatware in Windows 11. There was bloatware starting in Windows 8.1, and then it got really bad in Windows 10, and then Windows 11 just continues the trend. Yes, it's annoying, but this is not an exclusive issue to Windows 11. Okay, but there's nothing new in Windows 11. This is not an entirely accurate statement. As I said, there was a bunch of features that were released in Windows 11 that makes it a much more simple, much more consistent, much more easy to use and exciting operating system. And I would much rather prefer a stable operating system with less features rather than, you know, what we had from 2015 to 2020 with Windows 10, where we were getting 2 feature updates every year, and then we were running into random issues like people's files being random. I'd much prefer that. And let's not forget when Windows 7 released and Windows Vista was already an operating system, and then there was really no changes between both of those operating systems. Okay, but they forced people on Windows 11 to use a Microsoft account. They do the same thing in Windows 10. If Windows 10 was still supported and Windows 11 was never a thing, you think this would change? Like, people think that this is something Windows 11 exclusive. No, this was happening in Windows 10 as well. If you install the home version of Windows 10, by the way, they force you to use a Microsoft account unless you use workarounds. If you use the home version. With Pro, there's an offline account option, but it's nothing different. You would still be forced to use a Microsoft account. It doesn't really matter. So again, to pinpoint Windows 11 for this, yes, they made it harder in Windows 11, I will say. But this would not have changed if Windows 10 was still a supported operating system, if it was still getting feature updates. Okay, but there's telemetry. There's telemetry in Windows 7. Back when Windows 10, they also included telemetry, but then they pushed out an update to Windows 7 and Windows 8.1, and that also includes telemetry now. So Windows 11 is not much different in that regard either. And just to add on to these points, many of the initial complaints about Windows 11 have been addressed. Like, I remember when Windows 11 was released in 2021 and you couldn't drag and drop files in the taskbar. And if you right-click the taskbar, there wasn't a task manager button. And if you tried setting default apps, it was a complete nightmare. But with the latest versions of Windows 11, a lot of these issues have been pretty much addressed. It's not perfect, as I said before, but they have been addressed, and it's definitely in a much better state than it was in 2021. And really, people just say things for the sake of getting attention. They're just like poking fun at Microsoft. Yeah, I understand the system requirement. This is a genuine problem people have because they literally can't upgrade to Windows 11 officially. But poking at only Windows 11 for some of these other complaints, I feel like is sort of an unfair reason to tell people to stay on Windows 10. Now, to those that are